evening, everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of Pragati 2021, powered by Trippy Myers and co-powered by Agripay Payment Solutions Private Limited. My name is Mrunmay, and I will be your host today along with Mehak. But before we go ahead, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for being present with us here today.
Hey Mrunmay, do you remember one task which you have probably left procrastinated or undone due to lack of motivation?
Oh, the assignments, the mini projects, I can keep going on about it.
I know, right? It's so very tough to manage so many things at one go. But you know what? Our teams at Pragati, despite all the uncertainties which they are facing, don't limit their challenges, but challenge their limits. They are the queens and kings of their goals, the boss of their fate, and the captain of their dreams. Featuring all this talent, we, Entrepreneurship Cell of St. Francis Institute of Technology, present you Pragati 2021.
We would also like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors for being with us at every stage of our journey. Pragati 2021 is powered by Trippy Minds and co-powered by Agripay Payment Solutions Private Limited. Our prize partners are CSB Bank and South Indian Bank. Our learning partner, Imperial Overseas Educational Consultants. Our consulting partner, Computarian Study Abroad, Mumbai. Our chief education partner, Infigon Futures. And our fabric partner, Fabric Spa.
Our industrial training and life project partner, Inmovido Technologies. Our education partner, Last Minute Tuitions. Our outreach partner, ProjectContest.com. Our youth media partner, YouthInc. Our legal partner, Lawyer. And our gifting partner, Belgian Waffles.
Now, without further ado, let's get started with today's projects. We have Akira, a voice-based email system for the visually impaired from St. Francis Institute of Technology, Mumbai.
Hello, good evening. I, Shreya Prasad, along with my team members Reshma Ruby, Sara Sheikh, and Roshni Pujari, is here to present you our project Akira, voice-based email system for the visually impaired. Of all the different communication technologies available, email is considered as one of the most persuasive form of communication. However, all these technologies can be of no use to the people who are visually impaired, as all activities that can be performed on the computer are based on visual perception. It becomes necessary to make available internet facilities for communication for them. Therefore, we have come up with this project in which we will be developing a voice-based email system which will aid visually impaired people who are naive to computer system to use email facilities in a hassle-free manner. The system is completely based on sound detection and recognition, hence requires no external assistance and is very user-friendly. The existing technologies use screen readers help the visually impaired to use email facilities partially or with external help. This is not a feasible solution for frequent use. Hence, we aim at developing an interactive voice-based system which would help the visually impaired experience electronic mail navigation like any other normal user. All functions are based on sound recognition, speech-to-text conversion, and vice versa. The solution that we propose here will be a system that would aim to perform all functions using voice commands. The functions that we include are voice notification on every action, compose an email and send it to the desired recipient, search the Wikipedia for extra information, tell the time to the user, and also give confirmation after every action. This is the flowchart of a system. To start a system, the user can hit on any key on the system, and then the system would start by greeting the user and asking, "How can I help you?" For people who are using it for the first time, the system would also give an option to ask what all functions it can perform, and it would prompt the same. If it would detect speech commands, and if it detects send email, the system would ask the user to say the body of the email and then the ID and then the name or the ID of the receiver. Then it would try to send the email. If the email is sent successfully, it would say give a voice prompt saying email sent successfully. Else, it would give a prompt failed to send the email. The user can search information on the Wikipedia by saying Wikipedia and the topic name. The system would search for the topic on Wikipedia and extract the first two sentences and say it to the user. The user can ask the system for time by saying what's the time, and then the system would say the time in the standard 24 hours format. This system would run on loop unless and until it would detect the command goodbye. Yes. Coming to the demonstration part. Here, as soon as I hit any key on the system would start, and also if it does not detect any speech in between, it would give prompts that there is no speech detected and to try again.
Good evening. My name is Akira. How may I help you? Say what can you do to know more?
What can you do?
I can help you send emails, tell the time and even search the Wikipedia.
What's the time?
The time is 23 hours 24 minutes and 48 seconds.
Wikipedia, Stephen Hopkins.
Searching Wikipedia. According to Wikipedia, Stephen Hopkins is a Jamaican-born British-Australian director and producer of film and television. He directed Predator 2, A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, Blown Away, The Life and Death of Peter Sellers, and the Jesse Owens biopic Race.
Send email.
What should I say?
Hello, how are you?
To whom I should mail?
Shreya.
Email has been sent.
Goodbye.
Switching off Akira. Goodbye Shreya.
To check if I've received the mail, if I just refresh here, I've received an email saying how are you. So that was the system. Hence we aim to develop, concluding, this email system can be used by any user of any age group with ease of access. It has features of speech to text and moreover text to speech with speech reader that makes design system to be handled by visually impaired person. This system is not only confined to blind people but also to can be used by people who cannot use a computer. Thank you.
Mrunmayee, wasn't that really amazing?
Yes, indeed it was.
Next in line, we have InMap Navigator, an application to help people navigate in an indoor building and help find the shortest path to the destination while tracking the user's movement at every step. This team is also from St. Francis Institute of Technology, Mumbai.
Greetings from Team InMap. We are here to present our project which is InMap Navigator. As we all know, we have GPS technology to navigate ourselves from one place to another. But GPS is restricted to an outdoor environment. When talking about indoor navigation, we talk about navigation technologies not including GPS due to its limitations in large complexes and buildings. So we are introducing InMap Navigator. InMap Navigator is a mobile app which helps us to navigate ourselves in an indoor environment. Like it can be a mall, a building, a big office, some grocery store, an airport where we need to find our terminal, when we are visiting some museum. The possibilities for this are endless. The concept of providing indoor navigation has been tackled by many using various types of technology. However, it has not yet been completely resolved, and an explanation for this can be accuracy. People have experimented with many different technologies to create an IPS like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, magnetic positioning, dead reckoning and many more. But some of these are not accurate enough and some of these are not economically feasible enough. So we are implementing AR and QR technologies in our app.
The first feature of our app is interpositioning. We all have used Google Maps and it uses GPS to find the accurate position in an outdoor environment. But since GPS fails to work in an indoor environment, we need to come up with a solution to detect the initial position of the user on the map. For this, we have used QR codes. So just imagine a shopping mall with a QR code outside of every shop. Once the user scans the QR code, the application gets to know the initial position of the user. That is, the outside of which shop is the user standing. Once the QR code is scanned and the initial position of the user is recognized, the app can work independently of the QR codes. Once the initial position of the user is recognized, the user needs to select a destination to which he or she wants to go. Once the destination is selected, the application finds a shortest route to that destination, and a 3D model will point in the direction the user has to go. In case the user goes in some other direction, the app will recalibrate the route to find the shortest path from the current position to the position of the destination. In case the user's phone does not support augmented reality, the user can click on switch view and load just the map. The entire functioning of the application will remain the same, just there won't be any 3D models pointing in the direction of the route. In case the user wants to view just the map, the user could click on the map shown on the bottom left corner and the entire map will be loaded. The user can just interact with the map to see what different rooms or locations are there in the building. As you could see, in this demonstration, the user is randomly moving in the flat and the map is still able to track him. Now once we select a destination, the application will find the shortest path from the current location to the destination. It will also show a 3D pointer which will tell you in which direction you'll have to go to reach the destination. Once you reach the destination, it will give a pin model just to show that you have reached your destination. And now you could either go to a new destination or you could even use the app like you saw in the starting of the video where there was no destination selected, yet the application was able to track the movements of the user.
Wasn't that really great?
I know, right? That was really amazing.
So next up, we have IoT-based Smart Social Distancing Device from Bannari Amman Institute of Technology, Tamil Nadu.
Hi everyone, myself Brinda and my teammates are Balavignesh and Deebana and we are from Bannari Amman Institute of Technology. We are going to demonstrate the project entitled IoT-based Smart Social Distancing Device. The problem statement which we are going to convey you is that physical distancing helps us to slow down the spread of coronavirus, but it may lead to the spread of virus without knowing to our knowledge. We can't be aware at all the time and we may forget to maintain it unknowingly. In that case, what will you do? There exists a big problem. In that case, our device will help you to maintain proper social distancing by alerting you. If one person is closer than another, LED light glows and buzzer also starts beeping and wants you to maintain proper social distance. This is our project's program and the code has been written in Arduino IDE. Now we are going to change the board name as Arduino Uno and now we are going to change the processor name as Atmica 328P. Now we are changing the port name as COM30 and the code has been written in Arduino IDE. Now we are going to run this program and it's uploading. I think the console screen is visible now. It is successfully uploaded and the readings have been opened in a new window called COM30 and the readings shows that the distance and stay back move away like that. and many things have been shown here. Now we'll get over into our project. It's the prototype design of our project. If one person gets closer to another person, the LED light starts glowing automatically and the buzzer also starts beeping, and this is the object detection. Same way will be continued for human detection.
Of the result, by using the IoT-based smart social device, we can safeguard ourselves from the transmission of virus. We can maintain a proper social distancing by using the device as a wearable.
The end result of our project is, by using this IoT-based smart social distancing device, we can safeguard ourselves from transmission of virus, and we can maintain proper social distancing by using this device as a wearable one. Thank you so much.
That was really outstanding. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Moving on further, we have our next project in line. That's Smart Shopping with Smart Trolley from Atharva College, Mumbai. This system has a provision to self-scan the products. After scanning, if the customer wants to make changes, it can be done via the touchscreen. This system also doubles down as an anti-theft video.
Welcome everyone. Let me introduce my team to you all. Team Gryffindor, Pooja Gupta, that is me, and Manasvi Patil. Our project title is Smart Shopping with Smart Trolley. Inspiration for this topic is little personal to me, and you will be also able to relate it. Like in shopping mall, for getting a billing done, we have to wait for 15 to 30 minutes, and it has been really irritating part for me. So I thought, why not this bring to an individual person, like a customer will be able to do it by themselves. It will be more comfortable and it will save our time also. Problem statement. In this modern era, every supermarket provides us with the trolley to drop our products into it and head towards billing process. Yet the time remains considerably high. There is also issue of thief practices. So there is need of some system which can prevent us from these thief practices and also save our precious time of customer.
Our system, Smart Trolley, helps to ease the life of the customers by providing some customized shopping base. This resolves the problem of waiting in the long queue just to complete the payment process. Our system is also connected to the backend database of the supermarkets or shopping malls to prevent the thief practices and to keep the track of the products in the mall. This, in short, it is the anti-theft device which can save time. In the tabular form, there are the hardware requirements for our project. Raspberry Pi 4 plus 4 GB RAM, load cell, Pi display, power supply, 5 megapixel of camera are in the quantity of 1, and their prices are given as in the table. Software requirements. For programming, we are going to use Python version 3.9.2. For image processing, we are going to use OpenCV. TensorFlow is being used for the processing, and Django is being used for web development. Block diagram. Input computing devices are Raspberry Pi 4 plus 4 GB RAM, power supply, load cell, 5 megapixel of camera, a QR code scanner or barcode scanner, 16 GB of memory card, and load cell. On-screen or output device is Pi display. The information collected by these input computing devices will be displayed on Pi display. The system allows to self-scan the products. After self-scanning, it allows the user to update the details of the products if necessary. The smart devices keep the track of the products which is connected to the backend database of the supermarkets or the malls. These scanned products are being automatically billed by the smart devices so that the customer will already know the total amount at the time of the purchasing. The camera is being attached to the trolley in order to monitor the products, and weight module is to keep the track of the products in the display and the trolley, so that it will prevent the theft practices. Diagram. It is a figure version of our project. It will look similar to it in a real life.
Let us talk about the business potential and market value. Maharashtra has 216 DMart stores. Considering 100 approx trolleys need to be converted into the smart trolley. The volume of the trolleys will be 21,600. Now assuming that our product has minimal 20% penetration rate, then the required trolleys will be 180. Talking about market value, the market value of our product is 77 lakh and 5,000 rupees. Market comparison, we have taken here two products, that is Amazon and Capper. The features they provide are payment checkout and second is automated cart. The cost is still in the testing mode. The price of our product is 7,135 rupees.
Navigation system of the supermarket will be saved in our system, so that the customer can be able to choose the category of their choice and to navigate the section of the area in the supermarket. As this system will provide the self-mobile checkout with different payment method, it will make the life easier of the customers as well as the supermarkets. In short, it is the time efficiency system.
See the output. So this is the local host we are calling. See on screen, the item name, item value and item weight is displayed. It will scan the product. QR code it will scan. As the scanning will be done, it will automatically show the item name, item price and item weight, as you can see in this video. Let's see the payments mode, how you will be able to do the payment. Basically on screen you can see that all the items are mentioned with price and weight. Now you will check out. Now you can see the payment modes. By giving your detail, you will be able to do payment. This is our system promises to do. Thank you everyone.
Thank you. This was our project and we are ready for your questions.
That was interesting. Exactly. So now we have Smart Bin, an automated garbage segregation device from SFIT Mumbai.
Our project topic that we are presenting to you is Smart Bin. Smart Bin is an automated waste segregation device for three main types of waste. A cost-effective compact bin to save time, manpower, and environment. Introduction. Waste segregation is not managed well in our country. People behave carelessly towards waste segregation process. This can give rise to different infections and diseases. Chance of recycling the waste is also reduced, which can have adverse effect on environment. A solution to this is Smart Bin, which can segregate dry, wet and metal waste using sensors. It also has an automated opening-closing system. This will reduce the amount of pressure on waste segregation departments. Our project comprises of servo motors, sensors and microcontrollers which bring about the functioning of Smart Bin. The detailed description you will see in the demonstration video. As soon as the current is passed, the bin is ready to use. Its automated opening closing system will get activated once you place your hand in front of the sensor. You can place your waste and the bin will detect the kind of waste and segregate accordingly. This flowchart will show the working of the Smart Bin. The later demonstration will be done to you live by Harsh Daidkar.
Hello everyone, with the team of 4, Arya Ankolekar, Atharva Chaudhary, Ramani Desai, and myself, Harsh Shadkar, have molded our ideas into a prototype, which is SmartBin. A lot of manpower is used for segregating waste, and it is not even managed well in India. People are very intolerant to take even efforts to segregate waste in their home itself, which makes immense pressure on the waste management facilities. This is a prototype of SmartBin. Its aim is to segregate metal waste, dry waste, and wet waste with the help of servo motors and microcontroller. Our SmartBin consists of two levels. Level 1 is used for opening closing system. This is done with the help of ultrasonic sensor. Level 2 consists of separating the waste. This is done with the help of flaps and servo motors. 4 flaps are attached to separate 3 types of waste: metal, dry, and wet waste. 2 flaps among 4 are wrapped with foil. If the weight conducts electricity, wet will be detected. If it doesn't conduct electricity, dry will be detected. Metal waste is detected with the help of metal detector. We have attached servo motors for the proper functioning of the flap. Our master of the prototype is Arduino Uno, which is used for proper functioning of the SmartBin. The waste will be removed with the help of sliding trays at the bottom of the bin. Right now we don't have that provision made.
Now we'll start with live demonstration, and on the screen you can see the wet type of waste detected, starting with dry waste. Now we'll continue with wet waste. At the end we'll do e-waste, and for e-waste we are using aluminium foil. This was the working of our SmartBin.
Waste segregation will start from home itself, which makes separation at dumping grounds more efficient and easier. Recycling process will fasten, which will be beneficial for the ecosystem. The future scope of our project is as follows. Our main area of implementation is residential. We can also implement the same in hotels, malls, restaurants. If implemented, a lot of waste segregation will take place at small scale, bringing efficiency in the waste management system. Get in touch with us.
Must say, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Heading over to our next project. That's real-time women safety wristband with built-in healthcare system, which aim at providing security for women and children using the Internet of Things from CK College in Tamil Nadu.
Good morning, one and all present here. Myself, Priyadarshini. Our project title is Real-Time Women Safety Wristband with Built-in Healthcare System. The main aim of our project is to design and develop a real-time wearable wristband for women safety using Internet of Things. The main objective of our project is to provide security for children and women in the society. It is also used to track the location of the children, women and elderly people, and it also used for health monitoring of children, women using GPS and sensors. It is also used to prevent an illegal act which happens against for children and women, then send a notification for victim parent mobile number through IoT using Blink platform. The main abstract of our project is to, in day-to-day life, children and women are facing many problems because of lack of security. Parents doesn't have confidence about the society. This proposed system will give a perfect solution for all these problems, so that we are providing this solution for our future generation. Here we are using two types of sensors. BMP 180 is a pressure sensor. It will monitor the pressure of the human being, and MAX 3000 is a pulse oximetry sensor. It will monitor the heartbeat rate as well as the oxygen saturation level in the blood, and it is also one of the parameters for detecting the heart attack for elderly people. When the wearable gets damaged or breaks, it will send the high emergency alert signal through notification using IoT in Blink platform. This application will bring a revolutionary change in the society. The problem definition of our project is to provide a security for women that is completely automated without any human interference. These are the literature review we have studied for our project. Here, it's our block diagram. Here, we are using D1 Mini V2 Node MCU ESP8266, and for power supply, we are using lithium battery, and for notification with signal, here we are using two types of sensors, BMP180 and MAX3000, and for high emergency alert signal sensor with use of GPS module. The D1 Mini V2 Node MCUs provide a Wi-Fi module for throughout the wristband. It's our methods of solving problem. Here we are, as I said earlier, here we are using two types of sensors, BMP180 and MAX3000. It will monitor the readings of the women continuously. When the threshold range exceeds, it will send the notification with the use of GPS to their parents' mobile number. If any case wearable gets damaged or breaks, it will send the high emergency alert signal to their parents' mobile number. And it is also stored and monitor the health condition of the children and women in a cloud. We are using Blink platform. These are the modules we are using for our project. For hardware requirements, we are using VMOS D1 Mini ESP8266, and for two sensors, we are using BMP180, as I said earlier, is a pressure sensor, and MAX3000 pulse oximetry sensor, and global positioning system. For software requirements, we are using Arduino IDE for clouding. It's our band. After completing our project, our band will be like this. Here, inside the band, we are using VMOS D1 Mini GPS and the BMP180 MAX3000 GPS sensor. After completing our project, it shows the output of the project. It is the current output. Now we are in CK College of Engineering and Technology, and in the left hand side it shows the pressure rate, and the right hand side it shows the body temperature rate. The future scope of our project is to, if you are asking why only we are using in wristband, we are also used in spectacles, shoes, slippers, etc. The main conclusion of our project is to provide security for children and women in the society. That's all from our side. Thank you.
Everything begins with an idea. Aren't we curious about all these entrepreneurs who managed to make a mark for themselves, of how they started their journey, how it all began with a single idea, a single vichar. Vichar, a series of interviews of local entrepreneurs. Startup aspirants have some pressing doubts in their minds and curiosities too. The answers are provided by these interviews with some real-life experiences. Here we present to you Vichar.
The first quality is tenacity and grit. The second quality is integrity. And the third quality is being good with people. The biggest mistake most entrepreneurs make is overestimating themselves and underestimating the idea. I idolize Robert Kiyosaki for the simple reason that his advice is very practical and works out brilliantly. The simplest tip to advertise your business is try and network with the right kind of people. Make sure that your friends circle is composed of those people who can help leverage your idea a little better. And the second is make sure you use all kinds of social media for the way it is supposed to be used. Every social media has a particular application, a particular end use. Well, startups are all about luck and hard work. So if you work really hard, most of the times your startup does land up doing well. But if you want really that uptake, it depends a lot on luck, because there are days when you slog a lot and you feel you're reaching the end of the line, and then suddenly things change for you. And then there are days where you've not even tried hard, and somewhere without trying hard you've actually got a good stroke of hubris, good luck. The one advice I'd always give entrepreneurs is make sure that you analyze the opportunity and evaluate it before you start off. Most people jump in without doing their background research. It's extremely important to know what you're getting into before you get into it.
Welcome back, guys, to Pragati 2021. If you have missed any of our videos before, and if you want to catch up with us, you can visit Pragati Virtual Exhibition, whose link is given in the description box below. Moving on to the next project, we have visualizing 3D models of heart and kidney using AR technology from St. Francis Institute of Technology, Mumbai.
Hey, good morning class. I hope you are doing well today, okay? I hope you can hear me clearly with this mic and you can see me clearly in this cam. And quickly remove your books, pens, paper, whatever is needed for today's biology practicals, okay? Oh, what happened? You're looking confused, okay? Wondering where the 3D models will come from, and I understand. Well, without wasting any time, I'll answer your queries in this presentation right now, which is about visualizing 3D body organs in augmented reality. Well, did you understand? AKA Nerixter, learn with AR. Well, our group consists of Andrea Lobo, Daniel Mascarenas, and me, Ignatius Almeida. In today's PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to give you an introduction about what this app does, how it works and all, in brief. Problem statement, the methodology, how this app has been constructed, what have we used and all. We're going to demonstrate how this app amazingly works. We're going to show you the future scope of it, like what are we going to do in the future, and obviously inference and results. Education has lost its practical touch, the experimental touch of education, and I think IT and all have fairly done well in the cloud services and all, but biology, like how do we get these 3D models at home now? Well, that's when AR comes into play. Now, what's AR? Augmented reality is an enhanced version of the real physical world, which is achieved through the use of digital visual elements. Okay, basically you're getting a real world into your phones, your laptops, everything else. Well, let's go ahead.
Now let's come to the problem statement of our project. In this project, we aim to create an Android application which scans images like body organs, bones, and creates a 3D model of the scanned images. This will help students visualize the 3D model from various angles and also understand the concept in a much better manner. The same application can be used by doctors to explain the diseases to their patients more precisely. Now let's come to the methodology of our project. We implemented this application using the software Unity 3D, and the library used is Vuforia Developer. We uploaded the targeted images and the 3D models of those images on Vuforia engine and added functionality to these images like rotation, zooming in and zoom out with the help of C# script. The flow of a project is the home page, which contains two options, experiments and quit. Quit closes the application, whereas experiments takes us to another page, which in turn has three options, body organs, system processes, and bones. When we click on each of these options and scan the respective images, 3D models of the same are created.
Now let's take a look at the demonstration. We open the application. The application opens to two options, that is experiments and quit. We then click to body organs. This is the heart, and we can rotate it using the UI button. Once it starts rotating, we can even see the labels, the information, the pulmonary artery, the pulmonary veins. We can zoom in and we can zoom out with a plus and minus sign. Then we move to the next. This is the lung, and by scanning the image, we obtain the lung, 3D model of the lung. We can zoom in and we can zoom out. The animation added to the lung is the breathing. We can see the labels of the lung, the bronchi. This is scaling in the lung using the UI button, and we can scale down too. This is the brain. This is the top view of the brain, the side view, and the back view of the brain. We can do the same options for the brain as well. We can even rotate the brain using the UI button. We can pause the rotation too, and we can scale out and scale in the brain. This is the labels of the brain, the medulla oblongata, etc. This is the kidney. We can do the same options for the kidney as well. We can scale out and scale in the kidney. We can see the information of the kidney too. This is the eye. We can see the 3D model of the eye once it is scanned. We can scale out, scale in, and rotate the 3D model of the eye as well. We can even see the labels of the eye, the retina, cornea in this 3D model. Next we go to system processes. By scanning this image we obtain digestion and respiration system. So we click on digestion, show digestion. We can see the process, the diagram, and the description of digestion process. We then can click on respiration process, and we see the labels of the respiration and the description of respiration given too. We can then go back and see skeleton, that is the bones. This is the 3D model of the skeleton. We can rotate, scale out and scale in the skeleton too. We'll rotate it. We can scale out. This is the labels of the skeleton, the clavicle, the ulna, the radius, etc. Now we can quit the application.
The future scope of this project can be extended to various other domains like real estate, e-commerce, and also in other subjects like geography, chemistry, etc. The application can include another set of scenes that will scan cells, tissues, and DNA for understanding biotechnology.
In this project, we successfully implemented visualizing 3D models of brain, kidney, and lungs, as well as we showed digestive system, respiratory system, and we also got a skeleton view of it. And now you can see the top view, the side view, and the bottom view. And from the results, we can conclude that we could gain 3D models of organ systems, and we could interact with the 3D models with the use of buttons like this. I would like to say a big thank you, and let me know if any more questions ahead.
Up next, we have Remote IoT Health from SFIT Mumbai.
Good evening to the esteemed judges. We are team number 1003. So our today's project is based on a remote health monitoring system. Now, the system has a few key points. The system takes any patient's data. For here we have our teammate Nipun. He's an example patient over here. So as you can see, he has the entire board strapped to his hand, and you have 3 different sensors. One is the temperature sensor that is linked over here, which is a small IC that is being used. Second is the ECG sensors that we have over here. One on his right hand, one on his left hand, and the other on his leg. Now ECG sensors make sure that the heartbeat and the pulse rate is taken constantly, and this is fed to the system over here. Now the third and final sensor will be the glucose meter. But right now we have a cup with a glucose solution in here. So what it does is basically it detects how much amount of glucose solution is left behind. Now what happens with all these 3 data? All these 3 data are sent to the Wi-Fi module via which it goes to a server. Now, why are we exactly tapping into these 3 data? It's because these 3 are the key elements of a person to be determined whether the person is doing well or doing not well. What happens is basically these data are sent to a profile on website where the nurse can actually access it. Now, more about the server and the profile will be explained by Vikas.
Hello everyone. So let's break it down to our server. So basically, after
monitoring all this data, we are sending our data as a data packet through a server using a TCP layer. So first we will have to log in the user. That will be this username and its password, and after logging in we can view all the details of that patient. For example, its heart rate, its glucometer rate and its temperature, that we will get through the server using the TCP layer.
In this segment, we'll be explaining how the code works and which pin is connected to exactly which sensor. We'll be explaining that in detail. This is basically the entire hardware model that we have. First is the temperature sensor. Now you'll notice here is the LM35 temperature sensor. What happens in background is we have a code that is written. We basically convert the electrical signals received by pin number A1, the analog pin of the Arduino. It receives the electrical signals, and a small calculation is kept there in order to determine the temperature of the patient. Now once that is done, we move on to the part of the moisture sensor. Now this is the moisture sensor that is being used as a glucose meter. So now what happens is it basically reads the amount of glucose that's left in the vessel here. In real-time cases, it will be a glucose bottle that is being used in hospitals. The pin number A5 is responsible for the entire data that is being collected. Again, analog data is received through the sensor. Now, the third and final is the ECG sensor. ECG has 3 pins. The 10 and 11 are LO plus and LO minus that receive the data. And then the main analog pin is the A0 pin. Now A0 pin receives the entire heartbeat of the patient, that is through the right, left and the lower leg. It receives these 3 data and sends it back. It is done, the computation is processed by the onboard. There is a small onboard microcontroller on this device, and the entire calculation is sent back to the Arduino board and the processing is done. So now once all these data are received, what happens is real-time packets are generated, and as Vikas had previously explained, these packets are sent over to the website, which can be hosted by a server, and that can be accessed throughout the globe. So here is a demonstration of the code. So this is our entire code, if you can see. This is the entire code that goes on. Just a quick glance of the code. Anyways, so we'll be uploading the code over here. Okay, so the code has been uploaded. This is our serial monitor that is right now blank because the data is being constantly sent over to the server. Now a few data are sent here. So this is the Wi-Fi that is being connected. We had the Wi-Fi module over here, the small Wi-Fi module that we have over here. So this is being connected, and over here we have the SSID and everything that is being taken in the TCP link, and the packets are being sent over and over and over. So this is basically real-time data that is being sent onto your server. Okay, so now the main reason why we built this project. Now currently at the rate at which we can see our healthcare system, it's getting overloaded, and the number of nurses are really low, and the number of patients are increasing at an exponential rate. We saw this during COVID. Now to battle such kind of crisis, we decided to make a remote health monitoring system. Now the 2 main benefits is one nurse can can look after about 10 to 20 to 30 patients. Right now physically they can only look after 2 or 3. But through this system they can easily check through an app and can make out how the patients are doing and all. Moreover, the relatives who are, let's say, NRIs, many NRIs will have old parents living in India, so they can actually keep a track of how their parents are doing, the heartbeat. Then let's say even in future scope they can look at the blood pressure rate, etc. These all other extensions can be added to this. Moreover, for now we have used a breadboard. That's because it can be easily compacted over here and changes can be done. Multiple iterations have been done, hence we decided to keep a breadboard. Elsewise we can develop a PCB, and the PCB will be much more compact, but it will still be a bit expensive in that case. So this is the reason why we chose a breadboard, and this is why we chose this project. Future iterations can have multiple different additions, maybe blood sugar level, or we can have some other new iterations into this. So that is this is open to customization, and this is one of the reasons why we feel smaller or larger hospitals will be easily able to use this. So that's it from our side, and rest is to the judges.
Up next, we have our next project, That's smart agricultural management without internet. As India is an agricultural country, the main objective of the project is to develop smart agriculture management without the internet. The information transmitted to the user is via LoRa. This team is from VCEW, Tamil Nadu.
Shweha Ravikumar. Our project is Smart Agriculture Management without Internet. My team members are Saranya T and Priya GC. Our mentor is Mr. T. Manihandan, Assistant Professor in the Department of ECE, Vivekananda College of Engineering for Women, Namakkal, Tamil Nadu. Let us see a prototype of our project. First solution, the existing system operates by the support of internet, but in our project we overcome that limitation. Here we are using LoRa, which contains transmitter and a receiver part, and GSM module. LoRa, which is used to transmit the data from the transmitter side to the receiver side, and GSM module, which is used for the mobile communication, and the farmer can get live updation of the feed. Project split into two parts. One is transmitter side and the another is a receiver side. Transmitter side, which is located in the agricultural field, and the receiver side, which is located in the view of monitoring. Transmitter side contains microcontroller, which is Arduino Mega. And we are using some sensors which are soil moisture sensor, which changes the moisture of the soil. Moisture of the soil is high and it is displayed in the LCD screen. So the motor is in off condition. Once it reaches below the permissible level, the soil is in right condition and the level of the moisture is low and the motor is in on condition. Now you can hear the noise of the motor. pH sensor, which is used to sense the acidic level of the soil for fertilization. And then rain sensor, which is used to detect whether it's raining. Temperature sensor is fixed here to know the present atmospheric temperature. All levels of the sensor with real-time clock will display on the LCD screen. If it is not raining, the value is in 0. And if it is raining, the value is high. The information displayed on the LCD screen will transmit through LoRa to the receiver part. Also, we added a GSM module which send a message to the farmer's mobile. The time and message was same. Any power interrupt, we can use battery for an additional purpose. This is the working principle of our project.
ஆட்டோமேட்டிக் சிஸ்டம் வந்ததுலேருந்து எங்களுக்கு நைட்டில் நாங்கள் போக வேண்டிய அவசியம் இல்லை. அதுவாகவே கரண்ட் ஆன் ஆகிக்கிறோம், ஆஃப் ஆகிக்கிறோம். நாங்கள் அடிக்கடி போகிறதுக்கு இருட்டில் போகிறதுக்கு ரொம்ப உதவியாக இருக்குது. எங்களுக்கு நெட்டெல்லாம் அவசியமே கிடையாது. மெஜேஸில் மண்ணோட தன்மைக்கு ஏற்ப உரம் இவ்வளோ போடணும் வைக்கணுங்கிறதுலாம் எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப மெஜேஸ் மூலியமாகவே வந்துடுது. இந்த கருவிகள்லாம் வந்தது எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப விவசாயத்துக்கு ரொம்ப உதவியாக எங்களுக்கு இருக்குது.
The budget of our project is around 9,000. This was about our project. Thank you.
And our final project for the day is green weathering tiles, which aims at reducing the effect of heat by providing weathering tiles over the roof, as both cement and terracotta tiles weigh quite more than other type of roofing materials.
Hi, hello, welcome everyone. I am here before you to give some information about green weathering tiles, and now we will go into the topic. The content are introduction, green weathering tiles, materials used, mixed proportions, manufacturing process, methodology, result analysis, and conclusion. Now we will go into introduction. Roofing materials are mainly adopted when a building is exposed to environmental stress like sunlight, moist, rain, dust, etc. Green buildings often include measures to reduce energy use. To reduce the effect of heat island, it is common practice to provide weathering tiles over the roof. Both cement and terracotta tiles give weight more than other type of roofing materials and require a special support structure. The cement tiles are prone to algae growth under certain circumstances, and it takes pressure washing to remove the growth. Green weathering tiles is also known as flat roof tiles or terrace tiles, used as shield over flat roof. Green weathering tile is one that has been designed to reflect more sunlight and absorb less heat than standard roof tile. This helps in avoiding crack formation and leakage on roof and also provide good thermal insulation on roof. The manufacturing materials used in green weathering tiles are silica fume, silica sand, white cement, Powercom 100, pumice stones. Mixed proportions of the materials used are white cement 100 grams, silica fume 240 grams, silica sand 150 grams, river sand and baby chips 500 grams, Powercom 100 10 grams, WC ratio 0.32 gram. Now we will go into the manufacturing process. Batching. In batching process, white cement, silica fume, silica sand, river sand, baby chips, Powercom 100, pumice stones are added stage by stage over a series. Then mixing. White cement, silica fume, silica sand, river sand, baby chips, Powercom 100, pumice stones, water are mixed in the concrete mixture. Placing. After fine mixing by concrete mixture, the mixer is placed in the rubber mold and then vibrating. After placing in rubber mold, it is vibrated by using table vibrator for 5 minutes. At last, demolding. Demolding should be done after 2 days of casting and curing is not necessary. This flowchart explains the methodology for manufacturing the green weathering tiles. The properties of the materials are the silica fume, silica sand, white cement, Powercom, pumice stone, and then the mix ratio. Preparation of the specimen by batching, placing, compacting, demolding, and at last curing. The tests conducted for the green weathering tiles are water absorption, temperature analysis, and the compressive strength. By concluding that the test on tiles. Now the test done for the green weathering tiles. Water absorption test and temperature compression. The two tests has been done for the green weathering tiles. Water absorption test. The test was done in accordance with IS code. The empty weight of a tile is noted and it is denoted as EA. It is immersed in water for 24 hours. After drying, the weight is noted and it is denoted as B. Now the temperature comparison. Cardboard boxes were made to compare the temperature difference between normalites and green weather tiles. A thermometer has been fixed below the tiles for indicating the temperature. From the above test done, the result analysis is the comparison of the green weathering tiles with conventional tiles using pumice stones and other tiles. At last, the conclusion. The following conclusions were arrived based on the experimental investigations on the proposed green weathering tiles. The water absorption rate of green weathering tiles is almost 50% lesser when compared to the conventional tiles. The temperature reduction is about 50% higher for green weathering tiles when compared to conventional tiles. The compressive strength of green weathering tiles is marginally higher when compared to conventional tiles. The manufacturing cost and weight of the green weathering tiles is low when compared to conventional tiles. The references are given below. Thank you. Your kind patience.
Mrunmay, these were some amazing set of performance I have seen. Like I must say, I am clearly impressed with all of them.
Well, now is the time when we resume this chapter of Pragati 2021.
Wait, what? Resume?
Yes, you heard me right. It's not the end yet. We have 2 more exciting days to go and many more exhilarating projects. We'll see you tomorrow on this same channel. Until then, don't forget to like, share and subscribe.